The rain had been hammering against the windows of our suburban Chicago home for 3 days straight. It was the kind of gray, relentless downpour that made the inside of the house feel like a cozy, sealed-off capsule. I sat in the living room rug, trying to build a Lego castle with my 4-year-old daughter. Lily, my wife Sarah, was in the kitchen making dinner. I could smell the roast chicken, her specialty, wafting through the hallway. It was a perfect, boring Sunday evening. The kind of evening you take for granted until it's gone. "Daddy, look," Lily said, holding up a red block. "It's the tower." "Good job, Bug," I said, distractedly checking my work email on my phone. "Daddy," she whispered. She leaned in close, her eyes wide. "That's not Mommy." I chuckled, not looking up. "What do you mean?" "Of course it is. She's making your favorite." "No," Lily insisted, grabbing my chin with her sticky little hands to force me to look at her. Her face was dead serious. "Mommy has stars on her arm." "That lady doesn't." I frowned. "Stars?" "The stars," she said, touching her own wrist. "The purple stars." She meant the birthmark. Sarah had a port wine stain on the inside of her left wrist that looked vaguely like a starburst. She usually covered it with a watch or bracelets because she was self-conscious about it. But Lily loved it. She called it her magic mark. I looked toward the kitchen. Sarah was standing at the counter, her back to us, chopping vegetables. She was wearing her favorite oversized gray sweater, sleeves rolled up to her elbows. "Don't be silly, Lil," I said, ruffling her hair. "Mommy is just..." "Maybe the light is different." "It's not Mommy," Lily whispered again, her voice trembling. "She smells wrong." A cold prickle of unease ran down my spine. Not because I believed her kids have wild imaginations, but because Lily wasn't the type to make up scary stories. She was a practical kid. "Stay here," I said softly. I stood up and walked toward the kitchen. The floorboards creaked. "Honey?" I called out. The chopping stopped. The figure at the counter stiffened. For a second, she didn't move. Then she turned around. It was Sarah. Same blonde hair tied in a messy bun. Same blue eyes. Same little crinkle in her nose when she smiled. "Hey," she said, wiping her hands on a towel. "Dinner is almost ready." "Is Lily hungry?" I let out a breath I didn't know I was holding. Of course it was Sarah. I felt like an idiot for even doubting it for a second. "Yeah," I said, forcing a laugh. "She's playing a game. She thinks you're an alien imposter or something." Sarah froze. The smile didn't leave her face, but it didn't reach her eyes. It just sat there, like a mask. "Oh?" she said. Her voice sounded a little tight. "Kids say the darndest things." She turned back to the cutting board. As she did, she reached for the salt shaker. I watched her hand, her left hand. The sleeve of her sweater was pushed up. Her wrist was bare. The skin was pale, smooth and flawless. There was no birthmark. The world seemed to tilt on its axis. I stared at that wrist, blinking, thinking maybe my eyes were playing tricks on me. Maybe she put makeup on it. But she never covered it at home. "Sarah?" I asked, my voice sounding hollow in my own ears. She didn't turn around. She kept chopping the carrots. Chop, chop, chop. The rhythm was too fast, too aggressive. Did you get laser removal?" "What?" She turned halfway, glancing over her shoulder. "Your birthmark," I said, pointing. "It's gone." She looked down at her wrist. For a split second, a microsecond, I saw panic flare in her eyes. Pure, unadulterated terror. But then it was gone, replaced by a smooth, practiced confusion. "Oh, Mark," she laughed, pulling her sleeve down quickly. "I covered it up with concealer. I have that PTA meeting tomorrow, remember? I was just testing out a new brand. It's really good, isn't it?" "Concealer?" I asked. "On a Sunday night?" "I wanted to see if it would hold up while cooking," she said, turning back to the stove. "Go wash up. Dinner's in 10. I walked back to the living room. My heart was hammering against my ribs like a trapped bird. I knew my wife. I knew her habits. She hated makeup. She only wore it for weddings and funerals. She wouldn't test concealer while making a roast chicken. I sat down next to Lily. She was staring at me, clutching her Lego tower. "I told you," she whispered. I looked at my daughter. Then I looked at the hallway leading to the kitchen. If that wasn't Sarah, then who was in my kitchen? And where was my wife? Later that night, I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling. The woman next to me, the woman who looked like Sarah, sounded like Sarah, but smelled faintly of a perfume Sarah didn't own, was fast asleep. I listened to her breathing. It was shallow, even. I carefully, slowly rolled out of bed. I grabbed my phone and crept into the bathroom, locking the door behind me. I sat on the edge of the tub and opened my photo gallery. I scrolled back 3 years. There, a picture of Sarah holding Lily at the beach. Her left arm was raised, shielding her eyes from the sun. The starburst birthmark was dark purple and unmistakable. I zoomed in. It wasn't something you could hide with a quick dab of concealer. It was raised, textured. I put the phone down. My hands were shaking. I needed proof. Hard proof. I opened the medicine cabinet. I found the makeup bag. Sarah's makeup bag was usually a mess of old mascara and broken powder compacts. This bag was new. Black leather, organized. I unzipped it. Inside there was no concealer, no foundation. Just a tube of lipstick, eyeliner, and a small, translucent plastic case. I opened it. Contact lenses. Blue ones. Sarah didn't wear contacts. Sarah had 20/20's vision. And her eyes were naturally blue. Why would she need blue-colored contacts? Because the woman in my bed had brown eyes. I nearly dropped the case. I flashed back to the kitchen. The kitchen lights were bright. I hadn't looked closely at her irises. But I remembered thinking her gaze looked flat. This wasn't my wife. This was a stranger wearing her life. I flushed the toilet to cover the sound of me hyperventilating. I splashed cold water on my face. Think, Mark, think. If I confronted her now, what would she do? She was sleeping next to a kitchen knife she had used to chop carrots with terrifying precision. If she had done something to Sarah, if she had replaced her, she was dangerous. I needed to get Lily out. I needed to call the police. But if I called the cops and said my wife isn't my wife because she's wearing contacts, they'd think I was having a psychotic break. I needed undeniable evidence. I unlocked the bathroom door and stepped back into the bedroom. The bed was empty. My stomach dropped. I spun around. She was standing in the doorway, blocking the exit. The hallway light behind her cast her face in shadow, turning her into a silhouette. "Mark," she said. Her voice wasn't sleepy. It was cold, alert. "Why are you going through my things?" I was looking for aspirin," I stammered. "Headache." She took a step forward. In her hand she held something. It was my phone. I had left it on the sink. "You were looking at old photos," she said. "Of the beach. Just reminiscing," I said, backing up until my legs hit the bathtub. She tilted her head. It was a mechanical, bird-like movement. "You know," she whispered. "Curiosity killed the cat, Mark." She tossed the phone onto the bath mat. It landed with a soft thud. "Come back to bed," she said. It wasn't a request. I followed her back to bed. I lay down next to the stranger. I stared at the dark window, listening to the rain, terrified to close my eyes. I had to wait until morning. I had to get Lily to school. Then I would go to the bank. Sarah and I had a safety deposit box. Only we knew the combination. If this woman was an imposter, she wouldn't know it. But before I could drift into a restless doze, her phone buzzed on the nightstand. It wasn't Sarah's phone. It was a burner, a cheap flip phone plugged into the wall charger. The screen lit up for 3 seconds, just enough for me to read the text message on the front display. "Henry, is the package secure?" And then a reply sent automatically from the phone. I said, "Husband is suspicious. Daughter knows. Advise." My blood turned to ice. She wasn't sleeping. She was awake. And she was asking for permission to do something. I closed my eyes and pretended to snore, clutching the sheet with white-knuckled hands. Tomorrow, I was going to buy a hidden camera. I backed out of the bedroom, my socks sliding silently on the hardwood floor. My heart was beating so hard I thought it would wake it up. I reached the hallway and leaned against the wall, sliding down until I hit the floor. I sat there in the dark, gasping for air. No birthmark, it was impossible. It was a physical impossibility. I squeezed my eyes shut, trying to conjure the image of Sarah's wrist from a week ago. Had I seen it? Really seen it? Or was I just assuming it was there because it had always been there? I pulled my phone out. I scrolled back through months of photos. Christmas. Sarah holding a glass of wine. Left wrist hidden by a bracelet. Thanksgiving. Sarah carving the turkey. Left wrist turned away. The beach trip in August. I zoomed in. There. Faint, pixelated, but there. The starburst. I looked at the bedroom door again. The woman sleeping in my bed, breathing the air in my house, did not have that mark. I didn't sleep that night. I sat in the guest room, staring at the ceiling fan, spinning lazily in the dark, spiraling into a pit of paranoia. If that wasn't Sarah, where was Sarah, and who was in my bed? Morning came with a deceptive brightness. The sun streamed into the kitchen, illuminating dust motes dancing in the air. It looked like a normal Thursday. I was sitting at the island, clutching a mug of cold coffee when she walked in. Morning, sleepyhead, she said. She wore Sarah's silk robe. She had Sarah's sleep-tousled hair. She yawned Sarah's yawn, that little squeak at the end. It was terrifyingly perfect. Morning, I managed to croak. I kept my eyes on my coffee. If I looked at her, I was afraid I'd scream. She walked over and pressed a kiss to the top of my head. Her lips were warm. I flinched, spilling a little coffee on my hand. Whoa, jumpy, she laughed, grabbing a paper towel. Rough night. Yeah, I lied. Insomnia. Work stress. You need a vacation, she said, opening the fridge. Maybe we should go back to that cabin, the one by the lake. I froze. We had never been to a cabin by a lake. We were beach people, we hated camping. The only cabin we had ever discussed was a hypothetical retirement dream. And even then, Sarah wanted mountains, not a lake. This was a test. Or a slip-up. I decided to push back just a little. The one with the leaky roof? I asked, improvising. Where we got food poisoning. She paused. Her hand hovered over the milk carton. I watched her back, holding my breath. God, don't remind me, she said, turning around with a rueful smile. That was a disaster. But the view was nice, right? My blood turned to ice water. She was agreeing to a memory that didn't exist. She was improvising, playing along, trying to cover a gap in her knowledge. The real Sarah would have said, Mark, what are you talking about? We've never rented a cabin. Yeah, I said, my voice hollow. The view was great. She poured her coffee. I'm going to run some errands today. Gym, grocery store. Do you need anything? No, I said. I'm good. Okay, love you. Love you, I said. The words tasted like ash. As soon as her car, Sarah's white SUV, pulled out of the driveway, I moved. I didn't go to work. I called in sick. I had to know who this woman was. I started in the bedroom. I tore through her dresser drawers. Underwear, socks, t-shirts. Nothing unusual. Just Sarah's clothes. I checked the nightstand. Hand cream, a novel she had been reading for 3 months. Sarah usually finished a book in 2 days, and a blister pack of sleeping pills. I moved to the bathroom. I checked the medicine cabinet. Then I checked the trash can under the sink. It was mostly empty tissues, cotton swabs. But at the very bottom, buried under a wad of hair from her brush, was a small, crumpled receipt. I fished it out and smoothed it against the granite countertop. Wig and Beauty Emporium, West Chicago item. Human hair weft chestnut brown item. Solvent remover date, 2 days ago. Sarah didn't wear wigs. She had thick natural hair. Or she used to. I looked at the hairbrush on the counter. I pulled a few strands from it. I held them up to the light. They looked real. But the receipt said, solvent remover. That was for glue. I felt sick. I dropped the receipt and ran to the closet. I started pulling down shoe boxes from the top shelf, winter boots, old sneakers, and then, in the back corner, a red Nike box that felt too heavy. I opened it. It wasn't shoes. It was a kit. Inside were 3 burner phones, each labeled with a piece of masking tape. Blue, red, green. There was a stack of cash-thick bundles of $100 bills wrapped in rubber bands, easily 20 grand. And there was a notebook, a small black moleskin. I opened the notebook. The handwriting was jagged, sharp. Not Sarah's looping cursive. Page E. Subject. Mark Reynolds. Age 34. Actuary. Habits. Drinks coffee black. 2 sugars. Hates horror movies. Allergic to shellfish. Schedule. Leaves 7:30 a.m. Returns 6 p.m. Gym on Tuesdays, Thursdays. Skips often. Page 2. Subject. Lily Reynolds. Age 5. Habits. Sleeps with purple horse. Afraid of thunder. Favorite food. Mac and cheese. Must be the spiral kind. Page 3. Asterisk integration notes. He suspects nothing. He is docile. The mother-in-law is a problem. She calls too often. Limit contact. Access to trust fund requires dual signature. Working on his password. Asterisk. I dropped the notebook. It hit the floor with a thud that echoed in the silent bedroom. He is docile. I stared at the words. She had studied us. She had dissected our lives, categorized our affections, and memorized our routines like a script. We weren't her family. We were her assignment. I looked at the burner phones. I picked up the one labeled green. I pressed the power button. It booted up. No passcode. I went to the voice memos. There were dozens of files, all dated over the last 6 months. I pressed play on the most recent one. Static. Then a voice. Hey babe, can you pick up milk on your way home? It was Sarah's voice. Perfect pitch, perfect cadence. Then a pause. And the voice repeated. Hey babe, can you pick up milk on your way home? But this time the tone was slightly different. Lower, rougher. No too deep, the voice muttered to itself. It was the woman downstairs. Pitch up. Softer. Hey babe. Hey babe. She was practicing. She was listening to recordings of my wife stolen from voicemails maybe, and mimicking them. I played another file. I love you, Mark. I love you, Mark. I love you, Mark. 20 times. Over and over. Until the difference between the real Sarah and the monster in my kitchen was indistinguishable. I felt a scream building in my chest, a primal roar of grief and rage. This woman had erased my wife. She had worn her skin and stolen her voice. I heard the garage door rumble open. My heart stopped. She was back. She wasn't supposed to be back for hours. I scrambled. I threw the phones back in the box. I shoved the cash in. I jammed the notebook on top and slammed the lid. I grabbed the shoebox and threw it back onto the top shelf, shoving it behind the winter boots. I heard the door from the garage to the kitchen open. Mark? Her voice floated up the stairs. Are you home? I forgot my wallet. I looked around the room. The drawers were slightly askew. The receipt was still on the bathroom counter. The receipt. I sprinted to the bathroom. I grabbed the crumpled receipt and shoved it into my pocket. Mark? Footsteps on the stairs. I flushed the toilet. I needed a noise, a reason to be in here. I splashed water on my face, trying to wash away the terror. I grabbed a towel and buried my face in it, just as the bedroom door opened. Oh, there you are, she said. I lowered the towel. I looked at her in the mirror. She was standing in the doorway wearing her gym clothes. She looked beautiful. She looked like the woman I had married. But now I saw the cracks. I saw the way her smile didn't quite reach her eyes. I saw the calculated tilt of her head. I saw the predator camouflaged in the grass. Yeah, I said, my voice muffled by the towel, just sick to my stomach. She walked into the bathroom. She came up behind me. She put her hands on my shoulders. I watched her hands in the mirror. I looked for the starburst on her wrist. Nothing, just smooth, pale skin. You really don't look good, honey, she purred. Her eyes met mine in the reflection. They were cold, assessing. Maybe you should take one of my sleeping pills, knock yourself out for the afternoon. She wants me unconscious, I realized. She wants to search the house or make a call or maybe just stop me from asking questions. Maybe later, I said, pulling away from her touch. I think I just need some tea. Okay, she said. I'll make you some. Earl Grey? That's your favorite, right? Right, I said. It wasn't. My favorite was English breakfast. Sarah knew that. Sarah hated Earl Grey. She said it tasted like perfume. This woman didn't know, or she had mixed up her notes. That would be great, I said. She turned and walked out. I waited until I heard her footsteps on the stairs. Then I pulled the receipt out of my pocket. I had proof. I had the wig receipt. I had the notebook, mentally. But I needed more. I needed to know where the real Sarah was. If this woman was an assignment, if she was keeping a schedule, then Sarah might still be alive. If I went to the police now, they might arrest this woman. But if she lawyered up, if she stayed silent, I might never find Sarah. I needed to watch her. I needed to hear who she was talking to on those burner phones. I remembered the nanny cam. I waited in the bathroom for 5 minutes listening. I heard the kettle whistling downstairs. I crept out of the bedroom and went to the linen closet in the hallway. On the very top shelf behind the extra duvets was the box. SecureView 360 HD Wi-Fi camera. I grabbed it. I shoved it under my shirt. I walked downstairs. She was in the kitchen, her back to me, pouring boiling water. "Here you go," she said, turning around with a steaming mug. "Thanks." I took it. I forced myself to take a sip. It tasted like hot perfume. "I'm going to lie down on the couch. Watch some TV. "Good idea," she said. "I found my wallet. I'm heading back out to the gym. I'll be back around 2. "Okay," I said. She kissed my cheek again. "Feel better." She left. As soon as the car was gone, I poured the tea down the sink. I had 3 hours. I set up the camera in the living room, hidden inside a hollowed-out stack of books on the mantel. It had a perfect view of the sofa and the hallway. I set up a second one, an old webcam I dug out of my tech drawer in the kitchen, taped to the top of the cabinets where it was invisible unless you were 7 feet tall. I connected them to a new secret Gmail account on my phone. Then I sat on the couch and waited. She came back at 2:15 p.m. I was upstairs, pretending to sleep in the guest room. I had my phone under the pillow, the live feed open. She walked into the house. She didn't look like a wife anymore. She looked like a soldier returning to base. She dropped her gym bag. She walked straight to the fridge, grabbed a bottle of water, and downed half of it in one gulp. Then she pulled a phone out of her sports bra. It was the red burner phone. She dialed a number. She put it on speaker and set it on the counter while she rummaged through her bag. My heart hammered against the mattress. I turned the volume up on my phone, pressing it to my ear. Ring, ring. "Report," a male voice answered. Deep, distorted. "He's getting squirrely," she said. Her voice was sharp, professional, no trace of Sarah's warmth. "He stayed home today, said he's sick. I think he's suspicious. Did he see something?" "I don't know. He made a weird comment about a cabin this morning, a memory trap. I think I deflected it, but he's watching me. He's staring at my hands. The birthmark," the man swore. "I told you that laser removal was too clean. It looks unnatural." "It's fine," she snapped. "I'm handling it. But we need to accelerate the timeline. I can't keep this up for another month. The kid is the real problem. She's spooky. She watches me like I'm a ghost." "The kid is irrelevant," the man said. "Focus on the trust fund. Did you get the password?" "Not yet. He has 2FA enabled. I need his physical phone to approve the login. I was going to drug him today, but he didn't drink the tea." She knew. "Get the password, Elena," the man hissed. "Friday is the deadline. The Cayman accounts close at noon. If the money isn't moved by then, the deal is off. And you know what happens to loose ends." "I know," she said quietly. "And the package? Is it secure?" "The package." My breath caught in my throat. "The package is alive," the man said. "Barely. She's putting up a fight. Stopped eating 2 days ago? Shara? She was alive. She was fighting." "Keep her alive," Elena said. "We might need proof of life if Mark balks. Just get the money Friday, or we burn the whole house down. Literally." The line clicked dead. Elena stood there for a moment, staring at the phone. Then she slammed it onto the counter. "Damn it," she whispered. She looked up. She looked straight at the kitchen cabinets. Straight at the webcam. My heart stopped. She squinted. She leaned in over the counter. Did she see the lens? She reached up and opened the cabinet door to grab a protein bar. She missed the camera by an inch. I let out a breath that was half sob, half whimper. I had 48 hours. Today was Wednesday. The deadline was Friday noon. They were going to steal my family's money. They were holding my wife hostage in some hellhole. And if I didn't give them what they wanted, they were going to burn my house down. With Lily and me inside, I needed help. I couldn't do this alone. But who could I trust? If they were watching me, if they had cameras... I remembered Detective Miller. He was an old friend of my dad's, retired homicide, now working private security consulting, but he still had contacts. I couldn't call him from the house. I had to get out. I walked downstairs, rubbing my eyes, putting on the performance of a lifetime. "Hey," I said, shuffling into the kitchen. Elena spun around, slipping the burner phone into her pocket in one fluid motion. The smile snapped back onto her face like a mask. "Hey, feeling better?" "A little," I lied. "I think I need some fresh air. I'm going to pick up Lily from school early. Take her for ice cream." Elena's eyes narrowed. "I can pick her up." "No, I want to," I said. "I miss her." She studied me. She was looking for the lie. She was looking for the fear. I forced myself to think of boring things. Spreadsheets, taxes, baseball stats. I kept my face blank. "Okay," she said slowly. "Bring me back a vanilla cone?" "Sure." I grabbed my keys. I walked to the door. "Mark?" I stopped. My hand on the doorknob. "Yeah?" "You forgot your phone," she said. She was holding it up. My cell phone. I patted my pockets. Empty. "Oh, thanks." I walked back. I reached for it. She didn't let go immediately. She held on to it, staring into my eyes. "You're acting strange, Mark," she whispered. "Is there something you want to tell me?" "Just a migraine," I said. "Really?" She let go. "Drive safe." I walked out. I got into the car. I backed out of the driveway. I didn't exhale until I was 3 blocks away. I picked up Lily. She looked surprised to see me. "Daddy!" she squealed, climbing into the back seat. "Where's Mommy?" "Mommy is resting," I said. "Lily, we're going to go see Uncle Miller. Remember him, the policeman? The one with the funny mustache?" "Yes, that one. Is Mommy coming?" I looked at her in the rearview mirror. This sweet, innocent child who had seen the truth before I did. "No, honey," I said, my voice breaking. "Mommy can't come right now. We have to help Mommy." Lily nodded solemnly. She clutched her purple horse. "Okay," she said. "Because that lady isn't Mommy. She smells like chemicals." I drove faster. Miller's office wasn't at the precinct. It was a basement room in his suburban home, filled with servers, 3 monitors, and the smell of stale cigarette smoke. "You're sure she didn't see you leave with the camera?" Miller asked, his fingers flying across the keyboard. "She saw me leave with Lily," I said, pacing the small room. "But she was suspicious. She held onto my phone. She tested me." Miller nodded grimly. On the screen, the audio from the hidden camera in my kitchen, the one she didn't find, was playing on a loop. "Burn the package." "Okay," Miller said, spinning his chair around. "We have enough for a warrant. Kidnapping, fraud, conspiracy. But if we kick down the door now, she clams up. She lawyers up, and your wife dies," I finished. "They said Friday. That's 48 hours. We need her to lead us to the location," Miller said. "And the only way she does that is if she thinks she's won." He opened a drawer and pulled out a small, translucent plastic case. Inside was what looked like a contact lens case, but it held a tiny flesh-colored nub. "In-ear receiver," Miller said. "Induction loop. Totally invisible, unless someone shines a flashlight directly into your ear canal. I'll be listening. I'll have a team stationed 2 blocks down in an unmarked van." "And the password?" I asked. "You give it to her," Miller said. "But not the real one. We've set up a mirror site. It looks exactly like your bank's portal, but it's ours. When she enters the credentials you give her, she see the balance, she hit transfer. The screen will say processing. It'll give us the IP address of the recipient instantly. Once we have that location, we hit the warehouse. Once the hostage is secure, we take Elena down." It sounded perfect, too perfect. What if she checks the URL? "She won't," Miller said. "Greed makes people sloppy. She's desperate. She's on a deadline." I left Lily with Miller's wife, a kind woman who promised to bake cookies and keep the TV loud. Saying goodbye to her felt like tearing off a limb. I didn't know if I'd ever see her again. The drive back to my house felt like a funeral procession. The rain had picked up again, turning the world into a smear of gray and black. I pulled into the driveway. The house was dark except for the kitchen light. "Comes check," Miller's voice whispered in my ear. It was clear, crisp, loud and clear, I muttered, touching my ear. "Showtime, Mark. Remember, you're tired, you're defeated, you just want the pain to stop. Give her what she wants." I took a deep breath, grabbed my briefcase, and walked to the front door. I unlocked it. The air inside was heavy, smelling of roast chicken and that cloying, musky perfume Alina wore. "Mark?" She appeared in the hallway. She had changed into a black dress, something Sarah would never wear around the house. It was sleek, predatory. "I'm back," I said, dropping my keys in the bowl. "Lily is safe. She's having a sleepover." Elena studied me. She walked closer, her heels clicking on the hardwood. She stopped inches from me. "You were gone a long time," she said softly. "Traffic," I said. "And I needed to think." "About what?" "About us," I lied. "About why I feel so disconnected lately." She tilted her head. "And what did you decide?" I rubbed my temples, feigning a headache. "I decided that I'm tired of fighting it. Maybe you're right. Maybe I'm just stressed about the money. The market volatility, it's been eating me alive." Her eyes lit up. It was subtle, a tiny flicker of avarice. "Well," she soothed, running a hand down my arm, "we can fix that. Why don't we secure the funds? Move them to the stable accounts like we discussed? Then we can take that vacation." "Yeah," I said, "maybe you're right. Let's get it done tonight. I can't sleep with this hanging over me." "I'll get your laptop," she said, almost too quickly. We sat at the dining room table. The roast chicken sat untouched in the center. She placed my laptop in front of me. "Do it," Miller whispered in my ear. "Log into the dummy portal." I opened the browser. I typed in the URL Miller had given me, a string of numbers that redirected to the fake bank interface. "The internet is slow tonight," I muttered, buying time. "Here," she said, sliding her chair closer. Her thigh pressed against mine. It felt like burning iron. "Let me help." "No, I got it," I said. I typed in the username, then the password. STR1985. I hit enter. The screen loaded. Account balance, $4,250,000. Elena let out a breath she must have been holding for days. A low, shuddering exhale. "Okay," she whispered. "Okay, now, go to transfers. Select external wire." I clicked it. "Enter the routing number," she commanded. She pulled a slip of paper from her bra. She read the numbers out. I typed them in. "Initiate," she said. I hovered the mouse over the submit button. "Wait for the trace," Miller whispered. "On my mark." I hesitated. "Mark?" Alina said, her voice sharpening. "What's wrong?" "It's just a lot of money," I stammered. "Are you sure this account is safe?" "It's safe," she snapped. "Do it. Now," Miller barked. I clicked submit. A spinning wheel appeared on the screen. "Processing transaction." Elena leaned forward, her eyes glued to the screen. She was practically vibrating. "Got it," Miller said. "Tracing, bouncing through a server in Estonia. Wait. Okay, got the endpoint. It's a localized server, 4,500 Industrial Parkway. It's a warehouse district." I let out a sigh of relief. We had them. "Transaction complete," the screen flashed. Elena sat back, a triumphant grin spreading across her face. "There," she said. "That wasn't so hard, was it?" "No," I said, closing the laptop. "It wasn't." "We have a SWAT team 2 minutes out from the warehouse," Miller said in my ear. "Sit tight, Mark. Just keep her calm for 10 more minutes." 10 minutes. I could do 10 minutes. "I'm going to pour us a drink," Elena said, standing up. "To celebrate." She walked to the wet bar in the living room. I watched her back. Then her phone buzzed. Not her burner phone. My phone, the one sitting on the table. She paused. She turned around. "Who's texting you at 9 p.m.? she asked. "Probably work," I said, reaching for it, but she was faster. She snatched it up. Unknown number, she read. My blood froze. It was the automated confirmation from the real bank. The one I hadn't logged into. Mark, she said slowly. Why does this text say, double quotes? She unlocked it. I hadn't changed my passcode. Why does this text say, alert, failed login attempt on your primary account? Silence. The air sucked out of the room. If I had logged into the real account, it wouldn't say failed attempt. It would say login successful. She looked at the laptop. Then she looked at me. You logged into a phishing site, she whispered. The realization hit her like a physical blow. Her face went from triumphant to demonic in a split second. IT's a trap, she screamed. She grabbed the heavy crystal decanter from the bar and hurled it at me. I ducked. It smashed into the wall behind me, showering me with glass and whiskey. Miller, I yelled. She knows. Get out of there, Mark. Move in. Miller shouted to his team. I scrambled back, knocking the chair over. Elena didn't run for the door. She ran for the kitchen drawer. The knife drawer? She pulled out the carving knife, 8 inches of serrated steel. You idiot, she shrieked. You think you're clever? You just killed your wife. She lunged. I grabbed the dining chair and shoved it between us like a lion tamer. She slashed at it, the knife thudding deep into the wood. The warehouse, she yelled, pulling a burner phone out with her free hand. Burn it! Burn it all now! He traced the wire. No, I roared. I tackled her. We hit the floor hard. The knife skidded across the hardwood. She was strong, trained strong. She kneed me in the groin, sending a shockwave of nausea through me. I gasped, my grip loosening. She rolled on top of me, her hands going for my throat. Her thumbs dug into my windpipe. I'm going to watch the light go out of your eyes, she hissed, spittle flying onto my face. Just like I'm going to watch hers. I clawed at her face, her eyes. My vision was starting to spot with black dots. Crash! The front door exploded inward. Police! Get down! Elena looked up, distracted for a millisecond. I bucked my hips, throwing her off. I rolled away, gasping for air, coughing violently. 2 uniformed officers stormed in, guns drawn. Elena scrambled for the knife. Don't do IT! One cop yelled. She grabbed the knife. She stood up wild-eyed. She wasn't looking at them. She was looking at her phone. She hit a button. Sent. She smiled. Blood trickling from her lip. It's done. Then she raised the knife not at them, but at her own throat. Drop IT. Taser deployment. 2 prongs hit her chest. Her body went rigid, seizing up, and she collapsed to the floor, twitching. The knife clattered away. I scrambled to my knees, crawling toward her phone. Mark, are you okay? Miller ran in, winded. The phone, I rasped. She sent a message. I grabbed her burner phone. The screen was still glowing. 2. Handler message, code red. Execute package immediately. Leave nitrogen monoxide trace. Status delivered. Elena sat back, a triumphant grin spreading across her face. There, she said. That wasn't so hard, was it? No, I said, closing the laptop. It wasn't. We have a SWAT team 2 minutes out from the warehouse, Miller said in my ear. Sit tight, Mark. Just keep her calm for 10 more minutes. 10 minutes. I could do 10 minutes. I'm going to pour us a drink, Elena said, standing up. To celebrate. She walked to the wet bar in the living room. I watched her back. Then her phone buzzed. Not her burner phone. My phone, the one sitting on the table. She paused. She turned around. Who's texting you at 9 p.m.? She asked. Probably work, I said, reaching for it, but she was faster. She snatched it up. Unknown number, she read. My blood froze. It was the automated confirmation from the real bank. The one I hadn't logged into. Mark, she said slowly. Why does this text say, double quotes? She unlocked it. I hadn't changed my passcode. Why does this text say, alert, failed login attempt on your primary account? Silence. The air sucked out of the room. If I had logged into the real account, it wouldn't say failed attempt. It would say, "Login successful." She looked at the laptop. Then she looked at me. "You logged into a phishing site," she whispered. The realization hit her like a physical blow. Her face went from triumphant to demonic in a split second. "IT's a trap," she screamed. She grabbed the heavy crystal decanter from the bar and hurled it at me. I ducked. It smashed into the wall behind me, showering me with glass and whiskey. "Miller!" I yelled. "She knows." "Get out of there, Mark. Move in." Miller shouted to his team. I scrambled back, knocking the chair over. Elena didn't run for the door. She ran for the kitchen drawer. The knife drawer? She pulled out the carving knife, 8 inches of serrated steel. "You idiot!" she shrieked. "You think you're clever? You just killed your wife." She lunged. I grabbed the dining chair and shoved it between us like a lion tamer. She slashed at it, the knife thudding deep into the wood. "The warehouse," she yelled, pulling a burner phone out with her free hand. "Burn it! Burn it all now!" He traced the wire. "No!" I roared. I tackled her. We hit the floor hard. The knife skidded across the hardwood. She was strong, trained strong. She kneed me in the groin, sending a shockwave of nausea through me. I gasped, my grip loosening. She rolled on top of me, her hands going for my throat. Her thumbs dug into my windpipe. "I'm going to watch the light go out of your eyes," she hissed, spittle flying onto my face. "Just like I'm going to watch hers." I clawed at her face, her eyes. My vision was starting to spot with black dots. Crash! The front door exploded inward. "Police! Get down!" Elena looked up, distracted for a millisecond. I bucked my hips, throwing her off. I rolled away, gasping for air, coughing violently. 2 uniformed officers stormed in, guns drawn. Elena scrambled for the knife. "Don't do IT!" One cop yelled. She grabbed the knife. She stood up wild-eyed. She wasn't looking at them. She was looking at her phone. She hit a button. "Sent." She smiled. Blood trickling from her lip. "It's done." Then she raised the knife not at them, but at her own throat. "Drop IT." Taser deployment. 2 prongs hit her chest. Her body went rigid, seizing up, and she collapsed to the floor, twitching. The knife clattered away. I scrambled to my knees, crawling toward her phone. Mark, are you okay?" Miller ran in, winded. "The phone," I rasped. "She sent a message." I grabbed her burner phone. The screen was still glowing. 2. Handler message, code red. Execute package immediately. Leave nitrogen monoxide trace. Status delivered. I stared at the screen, the world tilting on its axis. "They're going to kill her," I whispered. "Miller, they're going to kill her right now." Miller grabbed his radio. "Dispatch. Update on the warehouse. What is the ETA? Static. Team leader to dispatch. We are at 4,500 industrial. Breaching now. Tell them to hurry," I screamed. "They have the kill order." I ran out of the house, past the cops, into the rain. I jumped into Miller's car. "Get in," I yelled at him. Miller didn't argue. He jumped in the driver's seat and slammed on the gas. The drive to the warehouse district usually took 20 minutes. Miller made it in 9. Siren wailing, we tore through red lights, drifting around corners. "Team leader to Miller." The radio crackled. "We've breached the perimeter. The building is empty." "Empty?" Miller shouted. "What do you mean empty?" "The trace led right there." "It's a server farm," the voice came back. "Just racks of servers. No people, no hostage. It was a relay station." My heart stopped. "She played us," Miller whispered. "The IP wasn't the hideout. It was just the router." We pulled up to the warehouse. SWAT guys were standing around, looking confused. I jumped out. "Where is she?" "Sir, there's nobody here," a cop said. "Just computers." I fell to my knees on the wet asphalt. It was over. I had failed. I had tried to be smart, tried to play the spy, and I had gotten it wrong. And now, somewhere in this city, a man had received a text message to execute my wife. My phone buzzed in my pocket. I pulled it out. My hands were shaking so hard I almost dropped it. It was a video call. From an unknown number. I swiped answer. The screen was dark at first. Then a light flicked on. A face appeared. It wasn't Sarah. It was the man, the handler. He was wearing a surgical mask. Behind him I saw tiles, white tiles. Like a bathroom or a butcher shop. "Hello, Mark," he said. His voice was calm. Terrifyingly calm. "If you touch her, I will kill you," I sobbed into the phone. "I swear to God, you tried to trick us," the man tutted. "Naughty. We had a deal. Friday. But you got greedy." He panned the camera down. Sarah was there, bound to a chair. Duct tape over her mouth. Her eyes were wide, frantic. She was shaking. "Say goodbye, Mark." He raised a gun to her temple. "No, wait." I screamed at the screen. "I have the codes. The real codes. I can give them to you right now." The man paused. The gun hovered. "I don't believe you," he said. "Test me," I yelled. "I'll transfer it right now. To any account you want. Bitcoin, whatever. Just don't shoot her." Miller was next to me, signaling to the tech guy in the van to trace the call. "Keep him talking," Miller mouthed. "You have 10 seconds," the man said. "Prove it." "The password," I shouted. "The real password. It's not Sarah Star. It's Lily 2019. Try it." "Try it on the main account." I was lying. But I needed him to lower the gun. The man looked at the camera. "If this is wrong," he said, "I shoot her in the knee first." He lowered the gun and pulled out a tablet with his other hand. "Tracing," the tech guy in the van yelled. Signal was bouncing. Cellular tower. Triangulating. "Come on," I prayed. "Come on." "Invalid password," the man said. He looked at the camera. His eyes crinkled. He was smiling under the mask. "Wrong answer." He raised the gun again. Bang. The screen went black. The silence that followed the gunshot was heavier than any sound I had ever heard. It was a physical weight, crushing the air out of my lungs, pressing me into the wet asphalt of the warehouse parking lot. "Sarah!" I screamed at the black screen. "Sarah!" Nothing, just my own reflection staring back from the dead phone, twisted in agony. Miller grabbed my shoulder, shaking me hard. "Mark! Mark, listen to me. Look at the signal." I couldn't breathe. My wife was dead. I had gambled with a fake password, and I had lost. I had killed her. The signal didn't cut because the phone was destroyed. The tech guy in the van yelled, leaning out the window. "It cut because the tower handoff failed. The shooter is moving. He's in a vehicle." My head snapped up. "Moving? She's not dead?" "We don't know," Miller said, his voice tight. "But if he shot her, why move? Why leave the location? He's running." He realized the call was being traced and he panicked. He might have fired a warning shot or shot the wall. A tiny, fragile spark of hope ignited in my chest. It burned like acid. "Where is he?" I demanded, scrambling to my feet. "Where is he going?" "The signal just pinged off a repeater on the west side," the tech guy shouted, typing furiously. "He's moving fast. Heading toward the old industrial shipping yards. There's a decommissioned ferry terminal there. He's trying to get her on a boat," Miller realized. "International waters. Once he's out there, she's gone for good." I didn't wait for Miller. I ran back to his car. "Drive! Drive!" The chase was a blur of siren lights and rain-slicked streets. I sat in the passenger seat, clutching the dashboard, my knuckles white. Every second felt like an hour. Every red light we blew through felt like a victory against time. He stopped. The radio crackled. "Terminal 4, the Sea Spirit. It's a rusted cargo hauler. We're 2 minutes out," Miller barked into the radio. "Containment only. Do not engage until we have visual on the hostage." We skidded into the terminal lot. It was a graveyard of shipping containers and cranes looming like skeletal fingers in the mist. At the end of the pier sat the Sea Spirit, a hulking mass of dark iron. Police cruisers were already fanning out, their lights cutting through the fog. "There!" Miller pointed. A figure was dragging someone up the gangplank. A man in a dark coat, and a woman, stumbling, fighting. Sarah. She was alive. She kicked out, her leg connecting with the man's shin. He stumbled, but he didn't let go of her hair. He dragged her harder. I have the shot, a sniper voice came over the radio. Green light. Negative, Miller screamed. Too much movement. You might hit the hostage. I couldn't stand it. I couldn't watch this happen from behind the car door. I opened the door and sprinted. Mark, no! Miller yelled. I didn't hear him. I didn't hear the wind. All I heard was the blood roaring in my ears. I ran toward the gangplank. The metal grated under my dress shoes. The handler heard me. He spun around at the top of the ramp, yanking Sarah in front of him like a shield. He raised his gun. Stop, he screamed. Take one more step and I paint the deck with her. I froze. I was 20 feet away, close enough to see Sarah's face. She was bruised, bleeding from a cut on her forehead, and her eyes were wide with terror. But she was looking at me. She was alive. Let her go, I panted, holding my hands up. You want the money? I have it. It's on my phone. Just let her go. It's too late for money, the handler spat. His mask had slipped down, revealing a scar on his jaw. He looked manic, cornered. The deal is blown. She's insurance now. You're not leaving on that boat, I said, stepping an inch closer. Look around. You're surrounded. There are 10 snipers aiming at your head right now. The only way you walk off this ship alive is if you let her go. The handler looked, scanning the pier. He saw the glint of scopes. He saw the flashing lights. He wavered. Mark, Sarah whispered. Her voice was raspy. Mark, run. I'm not leaving you, I said. Not again. The handler tightened his grip on her neck. Back off. I mean it. I'll take her with me to hell. He started backing up toward the ship's dark doorway. If he got her inside the hull, it would be a siege. It could take hours, days, and he would kill her out of spite. I looked at Sarah. I looked at her hands. Her hands were tied in front of her with zip ties. But they were loose. She had been working on them. I locked eyes with her. I gave a microscopic nod. Trust me. Okay, I yelled, dropping to my knees. Okay, I'm backing off. Please. I lowered my head, feigning total surrender. The handler relaxed, just a fraction. He smirked. That's a good boy. Now, Sarah moved. She didn't pull away. She dropped. She went dead weight, her knees buckling. The sudden drop caught the handler off guard. His grip on her neck slipped. He stumbled forward, trying to keep his balance. His head was exposed for a split second. Crack. The sniper shot echoed across the water like a thunderclap. The handler's head snapped back. A mist of red sprayed into the air. He collapsed backward onto the metal deck, his gun clattering uselessly away. Sarah scrambled away, crawling on her elbows, screaming, I was up and running before his body hit the ground. I tackled her, covering her with my own body, shielding her from the world. I've got you, I sobbed into her hair. I've got you. It's over. She buried her face in my chest, shaking violently. You came, she wept. You came for me. I will always come for you, I said. Always. Miller ran up the ramp, gun drawn, kicking the handler's weapon away. He checked the pulse. Target down, Miller said into his radio. Hostage secure. Get the medics, now. He looked at me and nodded. A rare, tired smile broke through his stoic face. I held my wife on the cold, wet deck of a cargo ship, under the glare of police lights, and for the first time in a week, I felt the rain on my face and didn't hate it. It felt like a baptism. It felt like washing away the filth of the lies. But as I held her hand, stroking her hair, my thumb brushed her left wrist. I felt the starburst birthmark, the real one. And I remembered Elena. Elena was still alive. She was in custody, and she knew things. The nightmare wasn't over. It had just changed venues. I sat in my car in the police station parking lot for an hour, staring at the wedding photo. The rain hammered against the roof, drowning out the world, but it couldn't drown out Elena's voice. Him, my father, Robert Reynolds. The man who taught me how to tie a tie. The man who cried at my graduation. The man who bought Lily her first bicycle. It wasn't possible. It was the desperate lie of a cornered psychopath trying to inflict one last wound before she was locked away. But the seed of doubt, once planted, is a noxious weed. It grows fast. I pulled out my phone. I didn't call him. I called a number I hadn't used in years. A buddy from college who now worked in forensic accounting. Dave, I said when he answered. I need a favor. A big one, and it's off the books. Mark? Jesus, I heard about Sarah. Is she okay? She's alive, but I need you to look into a company. Archon Holdings. Check the board members. Check the beneficiaries. Give me 10 minutes. I waited. I watched the rain. I thought about the promotion I got last year, VP of Risk Management. A job I was woefully underqualified for. I remembered my dad taking me out to dinner to celebrate. I'm proud of you, son. You're finally stepping up. My phone buzzed. Mark, Dave's voice was different now. Got it. I'm looking at the incorporation papers for Archon. It's a shell registered in the Cayman Islands. Who owns it? It's buried deep. Layers of LLCs. But I found a recurring signatory on the authorization forms. R.J. Reynolds. My stomach dropped out of my body. R.J. Reynolds. Robert James Reynolds. And Mark, Dave continued, Archon Holdings has been hemorrhaging money for 3 years. Bad real estate bets in Eastern Europe. They're underwater. About $4 million underwater. 4 million. The exact amount in Sarah's trust fund. I hung up. I started the car. My father's house was a sprawling estate on the north side of town. It was filled with mahogany and leather, the smell of old paper and expensive scotch. It was a monument to his success. Or so I had thought. Now it looked like a mausoleum built on lies. I didn't knock. I used my key. The house was quiet. The housekeeper was off on Sundays. Dad? I called out. In the library, son. His voice was cheerful, warm. I walked down the hallway. The library was his sanctuary. Floor-to-ceiling bookshelves, a rolling ladder, a fireplace that was always lit. I walked in. He was standing by the window, swirling a glass of amber liquid. He turned when I entered, a smile spreading across his face. He looked older than I remembered. The stress of the last week, or the stress of a man whose house of cards was collapsing. Mark, I was just about to call you. How is Sarah? Is she resting? She's sleeping, I said. My voice was flat, dead. Good. And Lily? With her grandmother. He nodded, taking a sip of his drink. What a nightmare. Thank God it's over. The police, do they have any leads on who hired those animals? He was testing me, just like Elena had tested me in the kitchen. I reached into my jacket pocket. I didn't pull out a gun. I pulled out a black folder. The evidence Dave had emailed me, printed out at the station. I threw it on his desk. It landed with a heavy slap. Archon Holdings, I said. The smile didn't vanish instantly. It faltered, twitching at the corners, like a glitching video. What's this? He asked, feigning confusion. It's the shell company that hired Elena Volkova, I said, stepping closer. It's the company that funded the kidnapping operation, the surveillance equipment, the burner phones. All paid for by Archon. I don't understand, he said, setting his glass down. His hand was shaking slightly. Archon is $4 million in debt, I continued, my voice rising. And Sarah's trust fund is $4 million. It fits perfectly, Dad. Like a puzzle piece. Mark, you're upset. You're traumatized. Look at IT. I roared. I grabbed the folder and flipped it open to the signature page. I slammed it against his chest. That is your signature. You signed the checks that paid the woman who put a knife to my throat. You paid the man who held a gun to your daughter-in-law's head. My father stumbled back. He looked at the paper. Then the mask fell. The warm, benevolent father figure evaporated. In his place stood a tired, desperate businessman. His shoulders slumped. It wasn't supposed to go that far, he whispered. The confession hit me harder than a physical blow. I think part of me was still hoping he would deny it. Hoping he would say it was a forgery. You admit it? I gasped. It was a simple extraction, Mark, he pleaded, his eyes wide. Elena. She is a professional. She promised no one would get hurt. Sarah was just supposed to disappear for a week. We'd pay the ransom from the trust. I'd funnel the money back to Archon to cover the debts, and Sarah would be returned, safe, unharmed. Safe. I advanced on him. She was tied to a chair in a warehouse. They were going to kill her. Elena went rogue. He shouted back. backing up until he hit the bookshelf. She got greedy. She realized how much cash was there and decided to cut me out. I tried to call it off, Mark. I swear to God, when I heard they took her, I tried to stop it. But you didn't go to the police, I said, my voice trembling with rage. You let me think my wife was gone forever. You let Lily cry herself to sleep asking for her mother. You sat in my living room and held my hand and lied to my face. I was trying to save us. He cried, tears streaming down his face now. He looked pathetic. Everything we have, this house, your job, your reputation, it's all tied to Arkan. If that company goes under, we lose everything. I did it for the family, Mark. I did it for you. For me? I laughed, a harsh, jagged sound. You risked my wife's life to save your bank account. That's not family. That's a transaction. I pulled out my phone. What are you doing? He asked, panic rising in his voice. I'm calling Miller. Mark, no, he begged, reaching out. Mark, please. I'm your father. You can't put me in prison. I'm 65 years old. It will kill me. I looked at him, really looked at him. I saw the man who taught me to ride a bike. I saw the man who paid for my college. But then I saw Lily's face when she pointed at the stranger in our kitchen. I saw Sarah's bruised wrists. I saw the sniper's bullet taking a man's head off. You're not my father, I said softly. My father would never hurt his family. I dialed the number. Mark! He screamed, lunging for the phone. I shoved him back. He crashed into the desk, knocking over a lamp. He slumped to the floor, sobbing into his hands. Miller, I said into the phone, my eyes fixed on the broken man on the floor. I have the money, man. I'm at my father's house. Send a car. The trial was quick. Elena pleaded guilty to avoid the death penalty. She testified against my father in exchange for a lighter sentence. Robert Reynolds, prominent businessman, philanthropist, beloved community leader, was sentenced to 25 years for conspiracy to commit kidnapping, fraud, and money laundering. I didn't go to the sentencing. I sat in the park, watching Lily play on the swings. Sarah sat next to me on the bench. Her physical scars had healed, but she still flinched at loud noises. She still checked the locks on the doors 3 times a night, but she was here. You okay? She asked, taking my hand. I squeezed her fingers. Yeah, just thinking. About him? About blood, I said. They say blood is thicker than water, but sometimes blood is poison, and you have to drain it out to survive. Lily jumped off the swing and ran toward us, her laughter ringing in the crisp autumn air. She threw herself into Sarah's arms. Mommy, Daddy, look what I found. She held up a shiny red leaf. It's beautiful, baby, Sarah said, kissing her cheek. I watched them, my real family, the one I chose, the one I fought for. My father was right about one thing. Every family hides secrets, but our secrets were out in the open now. We had walked through the fire and burned the lies away. I looked at the scar on Sarah's wrist, just above the starburst birthmark. A reminder, we were twisted, scarred, and broken. But we were still standing. And that was enough.